What is up, everybody? Guess what today is? Today is the second Wednesday of the month. That means two things. One, Jebb is out. That's why I'm hosting the show right now. He's not going to be there. There's someone else sitting in his seat, but you're going to find out that later. The second thing is, there might be a couple reasons why, but it seems like every single month, the second Wednesday, something boosts Bitcoin's price. It gets interesting. And look at this right now. We are sitting at 40,600. It's on the rise. Could it be because of something in the news? Or is it just as simple as Jebb's out, and so the Bitcoin price is pumping? I think it's the latter. Just seems to be that way, but we'll see. We'll let you decide for yourself. Guys, we're so excited you are here for Coffee and Crypto Live. Again, this is our new time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be here every single week, Monday through Friday. Even when Jebb's out, the team goes on because this whole thing is bigger than Jebb. It's bigger than us. This is all of you guys, and we do not want to leave you stranded. We are here for you guys. So if nothing else, that should be why you guys hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, consider hitting subscribe because we are building an amazing community to help everybody become financially sovereign in cryptocurrency, and that is our whole mission. So again, if the other thing wasn't good enough for you to hit the like button, that one was good enough. Smash like. I am joined today. I'm gonna give it to Smay first, and then I'll let you know who the special guest is sitting in Jebb's seat. Smay, how you doing this morning? And also, I think you have a task to do that you do every single day.
What?
Exactly.
I have a task to do?
You have a task. It has to do with the color green.
Go Celtics.
Yes, that was it. Okay.
Guys, I just want to say I'm having a great day today. I'm on no caffeine at all. Not for any real reason, just because I didn't have any caffeine to drink. But I'm trying to, my body's still actually doing all right. So we're going to get through this. But I'd like to say some green names this morning. It's my favorite thing. I'd like to start with Agent Gold, Tom Wilkes, Crypto Sarah, Sultan of Salt. Who else we got here? We got Matt C, Elliot Locke, Crypto JMP. Oh, who else? Let's see. Thomas Post, Crypto Set Guy. Who else we got here? Jeremy Shorter. Why You Loud? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking relatively indoor voice. Groovy, Ricardo Venegas. That's all I'm seeing. But I also like to give it a special shout out. He happens to be a green name. I don't see him in chat right now. But Brad Geidel.
Hey.
Or Geidel. I really like
Whichever
him.
you prefer.
He's a great guy. Guys, he drives a Subaru, and I love Subarus, so shout out to him. He is one of my favorite people in the world right now. Thank you.
Love me some Brad. In case you guys are wondering why I said green names.
No!
What, you went to, you teased it.
I teased it.
This is what happens when the system gets all jacked up. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about on computers, I think everyone on computers see this. Those names are green. If you're wondering what we're talking about green names or the names that Smay just read, those are some of our YouTube members. We love all of you guys. And guess what is one of the perks of being a YouTube member is you get to participate in the membership live streams. And guess when that is? Tomorrow after the show. So if you're not already a member and you want to be a part of it, again, that's some of the funnest content we create here is those live streams. Ask the people in chat who have those green names. It's always a blast. If you want to be a part of that, make sure you join as a member. If you don't want to join as a member, that's fine. Keep watching the video, hit the likes, hit subscribe, free of cost. But I am now joined, special guest. He was on Between Two Coins, but this is his first time back on Coffee and Crypto. It is some of your guys' favorite person in the world, T-Shroom. Some of you guys don't even know him, but T-Shroom, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Good. You feeling motivated this morning?
I'm feeling great. I haven't had any caffeine either, and I took a moment to appreciate that earlier because I am feeling very energized, feeling very focused. Probably has to do with the workout I had earlier, but I'm glad I'm not addicted to caffeine anymore.
Yeah, it's ironic because this show's called Coffee and Crypto.
Oh.
We got to think about that.
Well, it's decaf coffee and crypto.
Decaf. Yeah, you got
Smart.
Decaf.
Smart Smay.
That's not coffee. Yeah, no, I was going to ask you that. So I've been watching recently. I know Smay and I've talked about this a little bit. I've been watching a lot of different videos. Dude, I've gotten on this train of watching David Goggins, and we're just going to camp out here for a second before we get back into crypto. Have you seen that video of him doing the bench press competition or the bench pressing where he's like screaming like, you don't know me, who's going to carry the boat? Have you seen that? Do you know the story behind it?
I have seen it. I watch it a lot, and I do not know the story behind it.
Dude, okay, so he had just, and again, we're going to crypto here in just a second, guys, so bear with me, but this is one of the coolest guys I've seen. He had just run 35 miles through mountains. It was this whole race thing. He had just run 35 miles, Halfway through the race, his foot is bleeding and his toenail fell off. So he's messing with his shoe. And so his partner went on ahead and said, maybe he'll catch up. David Goggins then passed him and beat him by like 30 minutes on like a 35-mile run. Then they go to the gym and they do this workout, all upper body, 600 reps. So they were doing 100 reps of 95 pounds on the incline bench. They said that literally that was his last set. He still had 30 left to do, but he knocked him out clean. And that's when he just starts screaming. He's like, you don't know me, son. You don't know me, son. Who's going to? I was like, oh, like, he's not human. No. That dude is not human at all.
And yeah, I've been, because, guys, I've been getting back in the gym, and sometimes it's hard to find motivation to kind of, because you kind of sometimes struggle with the living comfortably, and I think this can also apply to trading as well, but that was maybe a very loose connection. But, I think for me, especially, like, I watch stuff like that, and it gets me motivated. I'm like, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it.
Dude, so, it was...
And now my whole body is sore.
Do you think he owns any crypto?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
We need to get. We should get David Goggins on Between Two Coins and get him into crypto.
I 100% agree with that.
I would love to have that. Well, hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and jump into crypto. We're gonna start off with just telling you guys where the show is going this morning. There's a couple different articles we're gonna talk about, or news stories. First of all, there was an Ethereum developer who is in a world of trouble, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later. But he's gonna be looking at some prison time. I don't know if that's going to affect Ethereum necessarily, but it's definitely interesting.
It's probably not.
We did have, so this is potentially, I told you before, I think the price is up because it's the second Wednesday of every month when Jebb is out, but it also could be because FIS just enabled Bitcoin for clients to trade and borrow, and that's pretty big. We're going to talk about that a little later in the discussion section. We also are going to talk a little bit about Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen has been flip-flopping on her stance on Bitcoin, but is what we've seen most recently out of her potentially her changing her tune? Could Janet Yellen be becoming pro-Bitcoin? We're going to talk about that and what that could mean for you as the holders later in the show. But let's go ahead and jump over to CoinMarketCap. Is there something else I need to say, Smay? I'm going to make sure I'm doing this right.
Yes.
What? Oh, we are brought to our sponsor for the day. Yay. We're brought to you guys by Ledger. And let me tell you guys, go get one. There's a link in the description down below. Go get one. If you guys, we talk about this all the time. We're talking about liquid and illiquid supply. What we're seeing right now on on-chain metrics is people taking their money off of exchanges. You got to have somewhere to move that money to make it into your keys to secure it. And the perfect thing to use is Ledger. So if you are looking for a way to secure your money, keep it yours, protect yourself from hacks and potential we've seen in the last couple of months with everything that happened between Russia and Ukraine, could potentially governmental pressure force exchanges to crack down. You don't want to mess with that. Make sure you go and get yourself a Ledger so you can move all your Bitcoin, your crypto, your Ethereum, Cardano, whatever you got, into a safe key that is only owned by you. Check the link in the description down below. But now that I said that, let's go to CoinMarketCap. Let's go over.
Did you mention Club DeFi?
Was I supposed to mention Club DeFi?
Yeah.
I'll mention. We'll talk about Club DeFi at the end of the show.
Okay,
We good. Thank you for clarification there.
Move on.
Let's look at the last couple of days and see what's happening. Bitcoin, earlier when I checked this, it was red. It's now up 0.25%. It's in the green now in the last 24 hours. Ethereum's up. We got Binance is up. Let's see. The ones that are still red here, Solana's still down 3%. Cardano's still down 0.32%. Avalanche is down. But let's look at some of the biggest gainers, some of the biggest losers in the last 24 hours, because there was one on here that really excited me. The first one here, Bitcoin Cash. Blech, don't really like that project. We'll talk about that in a different video. Chili's, though. Here we go. Chili's, my boy Chili, up 6.5%, second leader of the day. Only up a total of 1.9 in the last 7 days, though. But good for Chili's. Again, not a project I necessarily think that is great for making you extremely wealthy, but if you're a sports fan, as I am, I'm really hoping Chili's continues to develop and grow and spread into the United States so that we can utilize it. Maybe I'll make a little money off of it, but at the end of the day, I like holding my bag there just to see if potentially it comes to one of the teams I love and I can get involved. 8coin is up as well, 4%. Not a whole heck of a lot, but I would be very surprised if by the end of the day, these numbers weren't a lot bigger with some of these gainers. Let's see the last 7 days and look at some of the biggest gainers. 8coin is the biggest at 15, almost 16% up in the last 7 days. Again, this is a project that I think people should be really careful with. It's newer. There's a lot of unknowns. Just because they come out and speak really fancy crypto rhetoric doesn't mean that it's necessarily solid. But as it stands right now, if you've been investing in 8coin, it looks like you could be making some money. But again, please invest with caution. Do your research. The reason why I have not invested in 8coin yet is because I need to do a lot more digging into it, and we advise everybody do the same. Let's look at the biggest losers in the last 7 days. Waves. Now, Waves is down 25%. This was a project, if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, it seemed like it was one of the few that was defying the fall. Like when we were having that massive dip with all of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, everything was falling. Waves seem to be going up. So this is probably the reaction we're having as other coins start to see a little bit of success. We're probably going to see Waves have a little regression. That just seems to be what we see happen with the coins that defy odds. But again, Waves is another one I know a little bit about, done a little bit of research, need to do a little more digging there. Invest with caution, make sure you're doing your research. That's all I have from the market. You can go off my screen. Smay, is there anything you're thinking about this morning in crypto? Any thoughts you want to give the people before we jump into some Bitcoin TA?
Yes. Guys, this is going to actually probably come across very, very basic, but it's good to sometimes just chew on it. I was just chewing on the fact that crypto is like, not even crypto, sorry. Bitcoin specifically is getting adopted a lot faster than I think I even anticipated for this year. Like, I think even I'm just chewing on the stuff with these payment processors and all that stuff, and I'm just thinking, wow, we are really, really, really close to basically being able to, like, if you wanted to, you could actually just convert every US dollar you have into Bitcoin and just be able to go about life just the same. And that's pretty cool. And I think that in and of itself is just to stop and think for a minute of where we're at from a year, like a year ago to now. A year ago, we were just excited that Teslas were going to be able to be bought in Bitcoin. Now, basically, everything can basically be bought in Bitcoin. And that's a really exciting proposition. And sometimes you get lost in the weeds and you don't realize how blessed we are. And I think this is amazing, and I'm very excited.
Yeah. T-Shirt, any thoughts before I jump in?
I keep pushing the wrong button because he's sitting in Jebb's seat and it's muscle memory, you know. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking around into other markets. The Nasdaq is kind of down today so far, and oil is doing something similar. I was just seeing if the market and oil were pumping in the similar way that Bitcoin is pumping, but.
No, it doesn't look like it. But it could, again, has to do potentially with that news. Before we jump into news, though, let's go ahead and go to my screen and TA. And I just want to remind everybody, one of the things we specialize in this channel is technical analysis. A lot of people love to come watch us to see the technical analysis. You gotta look at the news. You gotta look at reports. You gotta pay attention to the fundamentals in light with the technicals. Bitcoin is one of the ones I love the most. I do think that technical analysis is very, very extremely helpful on Bitcoin and predicting when things are changing, when we're gonna see reverses. But you can't discredit the news. We're gonna talk about it a little bit later. But I do want to let you guys know about some things we see happening on the charts over the last couple of hours, last 24 hours to be specific. But we'll talk about even like what's happened in the last 2 weeks, because if you guys didn't know, just in case you guys are just checking in because you're starting to get back interested in Bitcoin, maybe you heard something in the news that spiked your interest. We have been falling for the last 2 weeks after hitting not an all-time high, but a kind of local, more recent all-time high, because we've been trading in this ascending triangle, really struggling with this red zone right here between 44,000 and 45,000. But then we broke through, getting as high as all the way up to 48. We touched 48 very briefly, and then we came back down to earth. We're now sitting right above 40,000, but we've been down to 39. So you might be asking, all right, what is next with Bitcoin? What is the price going to do? Especially as we've been seeing this dips. I've been interacting with a lot of different people talking about potentially could this dip continue. It gets, when you're looking at the 4-hourly chart, some great TA has happened, not for the bulls, but for the bears. If we watch this crash, we've come down, we've form a little flag, we come down, we form a little flag, we come down. And at the moment, I'm not going to lie to you, we could call this another pennant or flag, whatever you want to do. That could be a continuation. We're going to cover that. But there's a lot of things happening in the technicals that are giving us signs of hope that potentially Bitcoin's crash or Bitcoin's dip, whatever you want to call it. If you're an extreme person, you call it a crash. If you're just you realize you've been watching the market for a while, you might be like, listen, guys, 18% is not a crash. That's just a conservative little dip. We still have a higher low here, so it's still in an uptrend. Either way, when is this going to come to an end? Are we going to keep falling, or are we going to go down? And the first thing I'm going to show you, coming out here to the daily chart, is despite the fact that we thought we had broken through and finished with this ascending triangle, at the moment, this ascending level of support, this zone right here, has continued to be pretty key. We're still using it almost perfectly, as you guys can see. These wicks, the reason I drew it like this, even though we have these wicks that came outside of it, quickly covered back up. The wicks and candles that are closing stay within this zone. Therefore, that's why I have that little zone. And as you guys see right here, our candle closes and our wicks stayed within. At this point, that alone right there is showing me, okay, guys, this is a really nice, strong level of support that's giving me hope that Bitcoin might have hit this bottom after this dip. There's a couple other things we can look at though, especially staying here on the daily chart, and that is, we talked about this yesterday, but we're still sitting squarely in bullish RSI divergence. And now it's not just that we had one green candle. I told you guys yesterday, let's watch this green candle right here. Let's see if it closes green or if it keeps going red. We closed that one green, and at the moment, we have a second green candle forming. So this, to me, is a good time. We can go ahead and say, guys, this is looking like we have an uptick in price action, but using those same exact points, a downtick in RSI. This is continuation bullish RSI divergence, or some people call it hidden bullish RSI divergence. This is a reversal on a short downtrend that's going back up. So that's another argument to say potentially this is a reason to believe that this little dip is over. Go even further, though, we can go over to Bollinger Bands and TD sequential on the daily chart and see even more hope for reasons to think that we potentially are going to go back up. The first one is we're overextended on the Bollinger Bands. These are these blue lines right here. This is the Bollinger Bands. It keeps us in a range. And sometimes we drop significantly below it, but every trader knows this, and investors should know it too. When you start to get overextended to the downside or the top side of these Bollinger Bands, you're beginning to look for times of reversals. It doesn't mean it's absolute, but when you combine it with other technicals, it's starting to paint a picture that says, hey guys, it might be time to go back up. Then you also have these TD sequentials. You see these numbers right here. Green ones mean we're going up, but when we hit a green 9, that's saying, hey guys, it's time to come back down. In the same boat, we just had a red 9 flash, or what we call a bullish 9, because this red 9 is signifying, hey guys, it's time to reverse. Now again, this is another indicator that sometimes it gets a little overextended. Sometimes you see that 9 flash and you still see candles close to the downside. But it's telling you it's time for the market to start considering going back up. When we're looking at bullish RSI divergence, we're looking at bullish Bollinger Bands overextension. We're also seeing a TD sequential bullish reversal flash. This is starting to paint the picture. Guys, it's not just a coincidence. The market is showing it's time for reversal. But let's get a little bit deeper into it. Let's actually go to Lux Algo, which is one of our favorite indicators. If you don't have it, you're going to want to get it. Luxalgo is it's actually turning purple right here. So this is something that's really key. I think a lot of people using Luxalgo could have sold yesterday, but now we need to start reconsidering it based off this zone. We had a sell flash happen. What was this? A couple days ago on the 6th. That was actually the first day of the 2022 conference, the Bitcoin conference. We had a sell flash, but it wasn't time yet. We have a purple candle. The trend catcher still green. We kept moving on. Then we had a red trend catcher right here, but the candle's still purple. Purple meaning indecision. This is kind of a time to start worrying about the price of Bitcoin, if you should sell or not, but it's not time to pull the trigger yet. We did have one red candle. This is a metric saying you probably should have sold. But now that these candles are turning back purple and heading back up towards the trend catcher, Lux Algo potentially is saying it might be time to change his plans. Let's go down to the 4-hourly chart and see if anything is happening there, especially with this more recent candle that we just had. You guys are gonna see right here are reversal zones. Here's another thing saying that we should be reversing. Look at this green little, it's a zone. I don't know what else I would call it, but there's different levels. Every time we touch it, we at least move sideways. We touch it, we move sideways, but a lot of times we also can actually then bounce off it, go to the upside. We're showing on the 4-hourly chart, Lux Algo, while we have a green trend catcher, we don't have green candle yet. We don't have a green buy, so I'm not necessarily saying it's time to buy right now, but it is saying, hey, we are showing signs on multiple different levels that potentially it's time to reverse and head back up to the upside. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, and I'll go back out to the daily chart to show you guys, we don't talk about this very often, but there's two different things I want to show you and look at when it comes to Fibonacci retracement. Now, the first one, let's go here. You're going to take this from the top of what we hit our all-time high, come down all the way to the bottom of that wick. Well, let me move over just a little bit so we can see. We are currently bouncing. This is another level of support. We're bouncing right here at the 0.236, one of the levels on Fibonacci. It looks like, again, with these green candles, we're bouncing. Another reason to think that we have hope. But if you guys don't like that, you don't like the long term, let's look at Fibonacci maybe a little bit in the shorter time frame. We'll come and use, instead of using the tops to the bottoms, we'll use the bottoms to the tops. And we're sitting right now perfectly within what is called the golden pocket, between 0.5 and 0.618. I do not have time to go into details of the significance of those levels, but if you have CD2A or if you're signed up for Club DeFi, you will see a whole video dedicated to teaching you the significance of that zone. But right now, we are squarely in that zone. Another very, very strong reason to believe that we have a potential rally to the upside. Now, that is all that we're looking at on the daily chart. The last thing I want to show you guys, and I have it drawn on one of these charts, I got to find it and make sure I have it right. Yeah, let's go down to the 4-hourly chart. The last thing I will say for the bears, because I told you when I started the technical analysis that as much as I'm seeing bullish, I cannot discredit the bears. And guess what, guys? This candle is going to kind of undo what I was saying, but this candle's not closed yet, so let's keep our minds open. But on the 4-hourly chart, something really cool happened. We did have bullish RSI divergence. We also had bearish RSI divergence. Now, this candle changed my analysis from this morning, so you got to bear with me as I kind of rethink this and draw through this. But there's something we got to keep aware of. We have a descending level of candle closes, but kind of a flat level of support. And we also, before this candle broke through, if we can hold and close above this, this completely cancels out what I'm saying. But if we drop back down, and this is just a little flash, and then we drop back down, we are descending our level of resistance. If a candle closes below here, it continues. That would set up for us a descending triangle or a bear pennant. Now, a bear pennant is not what we want to see. It's not at all what we want to see. And if we did see that happen, and we do see that close, this is what you could predict based on the price action. If we draw this pole right here, this flag pole, and then we extrapolate it, let's pretend and imagine we do end up breaking out of this descending triangle, we could see the price of Bitcoin drop as low as 35,600. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but here's what you need to know. Every experienced trader knows, every experienced investor knows this. You got to prepare yourself. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We got to keep ourselves in a position where we're leveraging what we're betting on. I think there's going to be a lot of people see this green candle and just automatically buy or automatically enter a long position. And I'm telling you, as it stands right now, I would not recommend that. Not that I'm giving anyone financial advice. You do what's best for you. But I'm telling you, this is something we talk about all the time. We talk about it in CT2A. We're talking about it in Club DeFi, and we'll talk about it on this channel. Wait for confirmations. Wait for candles to close, for formations to confirm themselves, and then positions. And then even if you enter the trade after that, make sure you're preparing yourself with stop losses so that you do not get liquidated out and lose all of your trade money. As much as I love what I see what's happening right here on the charts, I'm not ready. If I was entering a trade today, which I probably am not, I'm not in a position right now where I want to enter a trade. There's a lot of things I want to see happen. I also like to trade on the bigger time frames, but I do not see confirmation as of right now to say that we're going to see it. What I would be looking for to say confirmation, I want to see this candle probably grow all the way up to 41. And to be fair, we're close, and I want to see it close around 41. And all that does is it breaks up this bearish pennant. It confirms to me we're not in a bear pennant. We're on our way, coming back up, just like the rest of the technicals are kind of calling for. And after a couple candle body closes above that, that's when I would see confirmation and say, you know what? It's time to go ahead and enter a position. But I want to throw it to T-Shroom just for a second, because I know you might not have a lot of TA to add to it, but I want to know what you're thinking about when you're looking at all these prices, because you're both a technical analyst and you like to look at all the news and the fundamentals, and I think you have a very good grasp of what's happening. But before we move to those news, what are you seeing right now on the charts, T-Shroom, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm saying that the 4 hour is not closed yet. It's got an hour and a half on the 4 hour candle. I think it's going to close up above this line of resistance, which is going to be really good for Bitcoin. The question is why. At first I thought it was the FIS news that we'll get to here in just a minute, but now I'm starting to see a similar spike in oil. But it could be just the bots are seeing just a buying opportunity in securities across the board, and so they're just like triggering buying. But the Nasdaq and the Dow are not doing the same. But I mean, other than that, it's just a big green candle, putting a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
In terms of the everything else, I think I wanted to say Tim has since I've been back, I haven't seen Tim do TA. You have improved a whole lot over the 10 weeks I was gone.
When you do it every single day, when you do it every single day as your part of your job, you start to pick up a couple of things. You start to look at some things and patterns and pick it up. But I say I got a lot to learn. But I think that's a great compliment. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well earned.
Well, before we move into, we're gonna do some super chats here in a second. We're gonna get to some of the questions being asked. But I did want to show one thing. Someone asked yesterday, why don't you guys talk more about Ethereum? So let's go look at Ethereum real quick and just show you guys if there's anything updating there. I don't really like that chart. Let me go to a different chart, so maybe a little cleaner. All right, so one of the things I said yesterday about Ethereum is Ethereum has been following Bitcoin pretty cleanly. And what I mean by that is you guys are going to look, there's some similarities here. I'm going to show you the differences, but look at the similarities between these two charts. They're both in an ascending triangle. I have different colors. Don't pay attention to the colors. It's both an ascending triangle that they broke above and then came back down. Ethereum did the same thing. I'll go back to my Ethereum chart. There we go, right there. Nope, wrong one. My bad. This chart right here. But what you're going to see right there is we did not come back down to the level of support yet. Ethereum actually at the moment is outperforming Bitcoin. And you can see that by evidence of just going to the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart right here. But there's a couple things here that potentially concern me. And that is right here. Daily bearish RSI divergence. What is that? See these RSI points? They're going down. I'll draw it for you just in case you're still confused. The tops of these points, they're going down. Meanwhile, the price peaks are still going up. I think Ethereum's been on a great run. So you guys are looking at this is Ethereum over Bitcoin. Ever since the 14th of March, Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin. That's why it's going back up. But we're starting to see the reversals come back into play. And I think Ethereum potentially is going to maybe take a backseat to Bitcoin's rise. Another thing you're looking at, like I told you, so remember all those things I showed you on Bitcoin's chart of all the reversals. One was we had, we do have a slight bullish R side divergence with Ethereum. It's not as strong as Bitcoin's, but it is there. But we're not sitting down here at a reversal zone. We also, when we pull up our Bollinger Bands and TD sequential, we're not seeing the same thing happen there. Now we're touching the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, but we're flattening out here. We only have a 3 on the TD sequential. It's not as confirming as the Bitcoin chart as saying we're absolutely going to reverse. I'm not saying that I think that we're going to do poorly with Ethereum, but what I am saying is those of you who have invested in Ethereum, those of you who have been watching your Ethereum stock or your Ethereum prices grow and then did not come down as far as Bitcoin, it might be time to then flip some of that stuff over to Bitcoin, because it does look like on the charts, especially going Ethereum over Bitcoin, that we're going to see a potential outpacing of Bitcoin's price compared to Ethereum. We've talked about this many times on the show, especially those top 3. And I think some other coins are coming into the argument as well, but Cardano, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, even though they're not ranked in that, or even though it's not Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano's sitting now, I think, number 8 at the moment. Those are the 3 probably most talked about projects in all of crypto. So they have this series of they work a lot together, but they kind of interchange which one's leading. In the last couple of weeks, it was definitely Ethereum. But is it time potentially for Bitcoin to take back over, or maybe even Cardano? We talked about Cardano in lots of other videos. We'll talk about them here in the future as well. It's a project that we know all of you guys love. That's why we cover it so much. But Ethereum has been the leader in the last couple of weeks. Is that potentially coming to an end? You can go ahead and go off my screen now, Smay. We're going to take some time. We're going to do some super chats. But first, as I talked about before, if you have money on exchanges, and if you have been watching what's happening in the world and you're seeing that there's going to be an increased know your customer pressure on all of these exchanges, you've seen Coinbase even go as so far as to say, and I know Coinbase is one of the largest exchanges, they actually aided what was being talked about with the government in blocking Russian wallets. Now, you can say what you want about it, but here's the thing about crypto, and specifically Bitcoin. It is not good. It is not bad. It does not pick sides. The minute crypto starts picking sides, it is no longer decentralized. It is centralized. And one of the reasons you guys all love crypto so much is because of the decentralization and the ability to keep a singular or small amount of people's power out of controlling everything that happens. But unfortunately, exchanges, most of them are centralized systems, and they do have the power potentially to, we've seen hacks happen. We've seen them shut down different accounts. We've been hearing recent reports from Binance.us, which I think a lot of you guys potentially use, that they might be blocking accounts until there's some confirmation. I don't remember all the details, but they're pretty much going to be blocking accounts from liquidating their money or being able to take profits. What prevents this is moving your money into a ledger. That's your keys, your wallet, your money. No one can touch it. No one can tell you what to do with it. Please, please, please consider, if you do not have one already, purchasing a ledger today. My wife and I got one a couple months ago. I love it. It protects us. It gives us that peace of mind to know, hey, even if there's a hack on one of these exchanges, or even if the government cracks down, they cannot touch our crypto. So there's a link down in the description. Go buy a ledger today. It would be awesome, and it helps out the channel. So if you guys love us, that's one way to help us. But let's read some super chats. I don't know if there were any, but I'm going to go and see. Yeah, we have 2 here. Ryan Neese said, hey, here every day, bull or bear market. Keep it up, boys. Absolutely. And that's the thing. We're going to be here every day, whether it's bear or bull market. Smay, are you here every day?
For the most part.
For the most part. Do you have any days planned off in the future?
Not necessarily, but I will have days off.
Plan a vacation. We gotta get back down to Universal and take a nice day. T-Shim, do you have any days planned off recently?
I actually do not. There's something in the works with me and Amanda, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, that's it. But that's okay.
Yeah. You sound like a silly goose right now. Silly goose. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it's a beach trip. It's a beach trip with her family. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the other one. Matt C. donated saying, do you guys have any thoughts on Celsius starting to only offer interest earning accounts to accredited customers going forward? Is this a preemptive move because of upcoming regulations? Yeah. Wow. I didn't even hear about that. Yeah.
It's a good energy drink.
Celsius is a good energy drink, but we're not doing caffeine now.
I saw his question and looked into it.
You looked into it? Yeah.
Yeah. I need to know more about what regulation you're specifically talking about. But I mean, if they're, offering a new product or a new service to accredited investors, then I would assume that they're taking steps toward validating identity, more and favoring that. But there's just not enough in that question for me to give a definitive answer. I mean, it would make sense that they'd be trying to do preemptive to regulation, but I just don't know exactly what regulation is being referred to.
Yeah. Well, we'll look more into that and let you guys know I need to look more into Celsius myself. But that is what we have for now. Make sure, before we jump into our news segments, if you have not done it already, and if we get to the next section and people haven't done this yet, I'm going to have to turn it over to Smay to talk to you. Smash the like button. And then if you're new here, not so forceful, hit the subscribe button. And then also you can share the video with someone that you think would benefit from it. And then also you can comment on the video down below what you think. And I know I love seeing what you guys think in chat, but I also want to see what you think down in the comment section below. So do both of them. Double chat. It's easy. It's free. Just takes a little bit extra energy. I mean, how many calories do you think you would burn in wow, that was a voice crack. Burn. How many calories do you think you burned typing the same message twice, May?
Well, to be fair, that depends on your metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate. But I would probably say
0.2 calories.
You probably burn about a calorie.
No,
I'll take it.
I think 1 calorie.
Every centimeter helps. So
in fact, you're probably actually burning something closer to like 50 calories just breathing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Breathing for like 4 hours.
All right, we're going to move on. Here we go. We're going to move into some headlines. The first one we talked about earlier. So his name is Virgil Griffith. I'd never heard of him before, but he's an Ethereum developer. He is sentenced to 5+ years in prison. And we're not going to stay long here, but what's really interesting, the reason why, and we talked about it at our table, it's a little confusing. I want to see more details come out. I think T-Shroom said he found a couple more details, so I'll let you do it. But pretty much he was sentenced to prison for assisting North Koreans in using cryptocurrencies to evade sanctions. So did you find out any more information about that really quickly we can share with everybody? I don't know if this is going to negatively affect Ethereum, but I think it's interesting, especially what we're seeing here with people, because we talk about crypto as a decentralized system, and even though North Korea and all that situation is messed up, what does it take to be arrested for helping people skirt around sanctions? So did you find any more information?
I did not find any more information. The nature of these type of headlines are that these big it's a big court in New York. They're not gonna disclose any details yet, but essentially it looks like this guy. So the situation is, we can't buy blue jeans from North Korea. Like, I can't buy them. You can't buy them.
Right.
You can't buy any goods or services from North Korea.
Right.
Why? Because the United States, you're presumably a citizen of the United States, and you cannot, you would be going against the sanctions that the United States put up on North Korea, because North Korea has terrible humanitarian atrocities that they've done. So it's a good thing overall, you could say. In terms of the grand scheme of
so it's not like as simple as he just was helping educate people on how to use cryptocurrency. It actually was he was assisting them in selling their goods to.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So he was making it to where people could do something illegal. So probably what was going on, I have no idea if this was what was going on, but somebody around the world, probably in the United States, was trying to buy a good or service from the North Korean government, and I could speculate what that was.
Yeah.
And he was trying to help them facilitate that transaction to pay for that. Now, North Korea is known for exporting labor. That's one of their main exports. They export basically slave labor. They'll say, to Russia and to Iran and other countries, they'll say, hey, we'll send a bunch of slaves over there to build a monument for you, or to work on a farm. They'll go do that, and that's how North Korea makes a little bit of money. But but Americans can't engage in that activity. They can't engage in purchasing anything, even legitimate non-slave labor. They couldn't purchase blue jeans, for example. So that's probably what was going on, something along those lines. It could have been completely different. It could have been an investment. Somebody was trying to invest in North Korea in some way. But anyway, this guy got caught trying to do that, and And I don't think it will have any effect on the Ethereum price.
I don't think so, but it's something I think that Ethereum will potentially get there. They'll have a lot of eyes looking at them moving forward with their developers. But let's move on. Let's go to another story here. We got one from, this is a Twitter post, but from Bitcoin Archive, talking about breaking. This is what we were talking about a little bit earlier. We're going to spend a little time here before we move on to the last story. But the largest payment processor in the world, FIS, will enable its capital market clients to trade, borrow, and lend Bitcoin. Is that the reason why the Bitcoin price is rising right now? Because this was posted or broke not that long ago this morning, probably a little over an hour ago. Is that what we're seeing potentially be the increase in price, do you think, T-Shroom?
So FIS or Bitcoin Archive did break this news. I haven't seen any blogs or any other news on this headline, but Bitcoin Archive's pretty reliable. I think it would be. Smay, what was the other payment processor that
NCR?
Yeah, so NCR was like number 2 or 3. FIS, according to Bitcoin Archive, is number 1. I did look into what FIS is, and they are if they're not number 1, they're a very large, major payment processor. So this would just, this would increase the momentum of headlines dropping about major payment processors enabling their equipment, their systems to run Lightning, to run Bitcoin. So that's extremely good. It gets closer to what Smay was talking about earlier, where you could move all of your investments into Bitcoin and just live a Bitcoin life. With Cash App, I think right now is kind of the main.
Well, I mean, and not to mention, there was like 40 different companies at Bitcoin, and that's an exaggeration. There was like a bunch of companies at Bitcoin 2022 that were offering to be able to have your payroll done.
It might have been
Bitcoin.
40, honestly.
Yeah, it might have been.
There was
40.
a lot.
They were all offering the same. So it's like you can actually now basically you can get paid in Bitcoin, which, by the way, when we talked about it last year, early last year, we said, all Bitcoin needs next for more people to adopt it is for you to be paid in Bitcoin, right? Now you can be paid in Bitcoin, right? So the thing is, now that you can be paid in Bitcoin, the next step is paying taxes in Bitcoin. You pay taxes in Bitcoin, you could literally just go full Bitcoin life. Now, the issue with that is, would you want to with the volatility? That's up for question. But the fact that you can is extremely bullish. So,
well, we're going to transition. We're going to talk more about this in another video sometime, because, again, all this adoption, especially from the payment process companies, is massive. But throwing it back, before we jump into Yellen news, which is always fun, Kelly just texted me. Going back to the Ethereum thing, he said it's reported that he showed North Korea how to program smart contracts for missile launches, among other products selling stuff, as T-Shroom mentioned. So, yeah, that's a no-go. You can't do that.
Oh, man.
Man, Virgil.
He really messed up.
Virgil.
Yeah.
Don't do that, Virgil. All right.
why would you? Why do you need? I'm just.
We'll read more.
Very
into it
small
later.
brain.
More will come out there if that story gets bigger. We will cover it.
Immorality.
What we want to spend a little time discussing. I'm gonna read this tweet. Well, there's a video here, and people probably even see it happening right now. But Janet Yellen has flipped again. We've seen her go back and forth several times now on what she thinks about Bitcoin. Sometimes the things that she's for it. Sometimes she seems like against it. I'm not gonna lie. I watched this video, and this is why I want to discuss this. I watched this video, and we're not going to play it right here. But if you haven't seen it already, make sure you're following Michael Saylor on Twitter. Go watch this video he posted. He said Treasury Secretary Yellen, he added her, understands Bitcoin. But when I listened to the video, she described what Bitcoin was. Did a great job of it. I didn't hear support, and I didn't hear against. I didn't hear any opposition. But a lot of people are watching this and saying that this is actually her changing her tune back, potentially pro-Bitcoin. And I want to throw it to you, T-Shroom, and I want to get Smay's take on this as well. What are your thoughts on this video, the research you've done after it? Maybe even Yellen's gone on some other reports talking about this. Do you think that Janet Yellen actually is a pro-Bitcoin person, or she just now understands it, and potentially is this going to lead to the U.S. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission working? I guess she's not with the SEC, but she's the Treasury Department. Start to work even heavier on CBDCs.
Right. So she's currently the Treasury Secretary, and she's formerly the Fed chairwoman. Yeah. So she is very powerful, and a lot of very powerful people trust her with these high-ranking positions. There's really not any high-ranking positions in the world of global finance at all. And specifically, she was speaking on sanctions on Russia, and and inflation in that speech, but she decided to drop this nugget for the crypto community. No, probably just for other people. But here's why I think this timing is actually the conference. I think when I was listening to the Michael Saylor and the Cathie Wood communication, it was a panel that they gave. Cathie Wood was highlighting again and again the politicians that are starting to gain ground by running on pro-Bitcoin platforms. And what I think happened is one of those politicians or one of their staff got some time with Janet Yellen or one of Janet Yellen's staff and really got through to them, hey, look, we just got back from this conference. There was a crap ton of important people there. Like, this stuff is gaining momentum. You know, if you guys have been kind of sleeping on this, maybe look back into it, get the wheels turning again. You know, Janet Yellen didn't come out and say anything definitive, and that was one of the reasons Tim was actually hesitant to run this story today. But I think it says a lot, the fact that she didn't say anything definitive. What I think what ultimately I believe she's trying to communicate is that there is still a lot of crypto talk in her offices. There's still a lot of people coming out and kind of banging on her door, wanting to have more conversations about crypto, trying to get timelines for their industry, for their organization that they're representing. And then ultimately, there's the whole other conversation too with, you know, the national implications of this. You know, what happens to the United States and you know, the foreign relations therein when and if we wanted to go with a neutral currency versus the USD and the world reserve currency. You know, conversation also opens up. But in terms of this specific moment, you know, Michael Saylor had a pretty powerful tweet. You know, he said this was the tipping point for crypto, that she's acknowledging it. It sounds like, Tim, have you heard her acknowledge crypto and speak about it in something other than the pejorative before? Because you said she was flip-flopping.
She's actually gone on a couple times, and I don't remember the dates and the exact things she said, but there have been times where she comes out and speaks about it in more of a scared, we don't know what this is, we're afraid of it. And to be fair, I understand why she's like that. She works for the U.S. government. Her responsibility is taking care of the U.S. dollar. Bitcoin is a massive opposition to the U.S. dollar. But then she's had other speeches where it comes out and makes it sound like, no, like, we're good with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to be okay. And then she'll go back and kind of give a little warning and protection. And now this one again, even though I didn't hear it, a lot of the reports we were reading about it made it seem as though people were saying this is her changing her tune once again to potentially be pro-Bitcoin. Now that it seems like she's gone through a pretty healthy level of education to understand it better, is she going to be pro-Bitcoin? I watched the video. I did not think that video would necessarily be saying one way or the other. But again, what the reports are saying is that was actually a pretty bullish sign based on other things she said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's. It's almost like her rhetoric is in a price channel. You know, it's kind of going up and then coming back down, going up, coming back down. Yeah, and we're waiting to see which way it breaks. So that'll be interesting. But what do you think about a neutral world reserve currency, Tim? Do you think that that's something that's favorable for us as individuals in this room, and is it favorable
a neutral world reserve currency? So I think that a neutral world reserve currency could be Bitcoin, in which case I'd be for it. We talked about it around this table, and that this is where I want the conversation to get to. Let's take for a second, let's pretend that she is not being pro-Bitcoin right here. She's acknowledging not just Bitcoin, although that's what she's talking about, but she's talking about the advantages of blockchain technology. And what she's actually saying is, oh, this is actually really cool. We could do a lot of stuff here, and potentially is starting to set the stage for the building of for a US dollar CBDC. And she wants that. And this is where our discussion at the table started this morning, and I want to finish it here. They're terrified. The United States government is terrified of what Bitcoin is going to do to the US dollars. That we can see that alone with that new bill that's trying to get passed to kind of do heavy surveillance on what's happening down in El Salvador, because they have interest in protecting the US dollar. So here's the question. Will we see the government act out of fear and say we must protect the global power that we have and we must protect the US dollar to remain supreme? Or will we see that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is an unstoppable train that will take us over one day, whether we want to or not? And actually, potentially, we could be one of the first countries, again, not the first, but one of the first countries to really back Bitcoin and then potentially have global power because they were one of the first. So, man, what are your thoughts?
So I got to be honest with you. I am interpreting what this video means and what her statement is a lot differently than I think you guys have proposed.
I'd love to hear it.
I think what I see ultimately is, I think this is a statement of almost putting their foot down and saying, because I feel like a lot of crypto people go and they say, oh, they don't understand crypto. They don't understand crypto. They don't know, blah, blah, blah. They're not educated, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think this is a statement saying, no, we do know what crypto is and we're not having it. You know, like I think this is very clearly them saying, no. We know exactly what Bitcoin is. We know exactly what Bitcoin promises. We know exactly how Bitcoin works. But we don't want any part of it. And I think that this is going to be the first step in that trajectory of them putting their foot down and saying, we don't want to jeopardize the position that the dollar has in the world economy. We don't want to jeopardize that. So I think they recognize exactly what Bitcoin is, and I think this is finally taking the veil off, almost like the Emperor Palpatine in Episode 3, finally revealing, oh, he's not this weak, frail senator or chancellor. He's actually the Sith Lord, you know?
Yeah.
This is almost like that. It's this, no, actually, we know exactly what's going on. We're not weak and stupid. We know what's happening. We're just trying to, basically, we're making a statement saying, we know, and we're not going to give into it because it actually is the biggest threat to basically her job is to protect the US dollar, right? So I think this is going to lead into them walking down that path.
It was to protect the US dollar when she was at the Fed, but now her job as the Secretary of Treasury is to defend the people. Kind of ultimately the users of the dollar, not so much the dollar.
No, sure. And that's maybe the semantics of the job, but the fact is, working for the United States, I think ultimately, and this is, the fact that we're even talking about this is because we're Americans. We care about the success of the country, and we know that Bitcoin, Bitcoin is the path to that success. But obviously, current powers that be don't believe that. They believe that the more power they have over the dollar as the world reserve currency, the better position they hold in the world.
I'd love to unfold a little more of your thinking, because your rationale you're using right now, Smay.
Yeah.
Are you expecting Janet Yellen and the U.S. government to actually work towards banning Bitcoin?
I don't know if it's. I mean, here's what I think it is. To be honest with you, I think it's more. It's gonna be more of an blatant ignoring it. It's going to be kind
that's
of
not going to work.
No, I don't think it's going to work either.
Yeah.
But I think what it's going to be is, no, we know it is. Stop chattering at me, and you guys have fun with it. Yeah. Hey, if you're a small business, accept Bitcoin. Do that. Blah, 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 blah. Bitcoin. Do your thing. We're not doing anything on a national adoption scale, just so you know, because the dollar is where our money's at, literally, and that is where our power is, and we're not going to jeopardize our power. We're not going to give it to a neutral agent, a decentralized agent. We are holding the power, and they're going to continue to do that. So I think this is just to hush down the bickering. I think is what it is.
I think, first of all, this is what happens when this is a classic PR moment, right? Where there's a very opaque, very neutral manila statement that comes out from a high-ranking official, and then three people have three different interpretations of it. So that's just a 101 PR for you. But kind of the other perspective I had is I think that the United States government is sitting. They're trying to keep their cards close to their to where people can't see what they're actually thinking. I think that they because of how much debt we're in, I think they've been thinking that Bitcoin for a long time could be a way for us to sweep under the rug all this debt somehow. They could be seeing Bitcoin as an opportunity. Now they may have foregone that option like long ago, but I think that Bitcoin is definitely. I don't think that they see Bitcoin as an enemy yet. I think that they see it as an opportunity, or at least there's an option that it could be an opportunity still, an opportunity for the United States to gain. But I mean, obviously, when you compare the two, the USD and Bitcoin, yes, they do seem competitive. But the United States dollar is not that strong. It's not like it's this giant warrior that it used to be. It's somewhat more frail, and especially on the world stage. And when you bring in China onto the equation, and you bring on other global powers issuing a digital currency of their own, that's where it starts to get a little bit more realpolitik, right? Where the United States may want to go ahead and launch their cryptocurrency before China, and then we see in the headlines, Iran, actually, one of the headlines I didn't include today, but it looked like Iran is getting closer to launching their own national currency that's on a blockchain. So you kind of want to be the first mover, but but like the lessons we've learned with Apple is like you don't want to be the first mover sometimes. So I think the United States government's just kind of biding their time. They're not forced to make a move yet. Crypto, Bitcoin's not at an all-time high. It's not like this really energizing thing right now. So Janet's kind of just dropping a breadcrumb.
Janet Yellen.
I said Janet.
That's a great mixture of the name. It worked backwards.
Janet Yellen.
Janet Yellen.
She's just kind of dropping a breadcrumb and probably other people know exactly what she's saying by this. Like the Code Fefe tweet from Trump that one time. He said like a small group of people know exactly what I mean. He was bluffing there, but I think she's probably has a specific audience in mind with this message, and it's probably not crypto enthusiasts. Like
I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit to see exactly what happens. But here's what I would say based on listening to you guys too. What my thoughts are at this point. The first thing is, let's say you're correct, Smay. Let's say that she's more saying, yeah, we're just going to you do your own thing. Like, but there will come a point if her interest is in protecting the U.S. dollar. There will come a point where the question is that they have to ban Bitcoin. Like the point is they have to, because Bitcoin is coming for the U.S. dollar more so every single day. And I'm not talking about just price, because that's one way it's going to come for it. But another thing is just in adoption and use case, and as these other countries, because we have El Salvador, and even though Malaysia and Honduras kind of backed out after there was some rumors maybe they were adopting, they're not the only countries talking about this. The U.S. is going to have to talk about this, and so that's why I kind of asked you, is you're moving towards a ban, because at some point, if the end thought is protect the U.S. dollar, you have to get rid of the competition. You have to, or if not get rid of it, at least muffle it. And you cannot muffle Bitcoin without a full-out ban. And then even that, I don't know if that's enough. So here's what I'm actually thinking. I know we like to say as people that our politicians are stupid, and some of them are. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are. Not all of them, though. These are very intelligent people. I believe that Janet Yellen is actually a very intelligent woman. I think the fact that she even talked about what she talked about showed her willingness to learn and grow her knowledge. Could we potentially see the U.S. government with the thought of gaining control? Because that's the other question. Does the U.S. government care about the U.S. dollar being in control or the U.S. government being in control? It's the latter. The U.S. dollar is their best weapon and tool to do so. But if they see a new weapon that is better and greater and they can capitalize on it, I believe that's something that they would move towards. So potentially, could there be this thing where we have one side of the mouth of the government saying one thing while the actions of the government doing the exact opposite? Has that ever happened before? I'll leave that there for dramatic effect. Could we potentially see the government not necessarily come out speaking as if they are pro-Bitcoin, allowing people to dabble in it, allowing people to do things while secretly they're grabbing and holding? Because this is what's important. I do believe Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency. I believe it's Bitcoin, but some blockchain technology will start to take over as the backing of money. What we talked about, what Tisha mentioned with that, what was the phrase you used? But like,
store of value.
Well, no, you're talking about worldwide. A reserve currency, right? I do believe we're going to see one of those. It's just it's the way the world is working. You can say what you want about it. It's the way the world is moving.
Yeah.
I believe Bitcoin makes the most sense, but one way or another, especially if it's decentralized, which I think it will be, the countries that adopt it the earliest are going to be the ones who have the most say in what happens. And these people in Washington are not stupid. We can disagree with them. We can think that they have the wrong motives, but they're not stupid. I think at a certain point, power is power. People want power. They will see the inevitable happening, and they will learn, okay, we cannot fight this anymore. We actually have to jump on. Same thing we talked about yesterday with that guy who left the bank to join crypto, and I think specifically, was it XRP? He literally was, you can't beat them, join them. Right. At what point will the governments say, we can't beat this. We got to join them if we want to continue to have any power whatsoever. And that is the one thing, if you can trust one thing from the government, it is that they will do whatever is in their best self-interest to keep power.
Well, and I think to modify my take a little bit, I think ignoring is the wrong word, because I don't necessarily believe. I don't think they're dismissing it. I think closer to what Tisha was saying is that they're going to continue to keep it in this position where they're figuring out how they can utilize it to their benefit. Obviously, right? They see it as a train that's moving. I think the thing is, it's this dichotomy that they're in of saying we see where this train is headed. So we want to implement this. We want to find a way for it to benefit us overall.
Yeah.
More so the government themselves and their status in the world. And then also, we want to this, like right now, the dollar is the biggest tool to do so, like you said, Tim. So it's like right now I think what this was from her was to say, no, it's very clear that we understand cryptocurrency. Like I think the narrative of people saying, well, they just don't know it. They're a bunch of old people. They don't understand how technology works, blah, 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 blah. I think when you get to that level in the position she's in, no, she's fully aware, and this is proof that she knows exactly what it is. Yeah. It's just show that they're having to be as on a government the scale of the United States.
Yeah.
They have to be like 10 times more calculated on how they're adopting things than just the average smaller country or the average business, right? There is a huge calculation that has to go into it. And so they're going to buy themselves as much time as possible in order to be able to make that decision and find where Bitcoin sits in their grand plan to continue global dominancy. So.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, and then before we close out the show, I think the potential, what we could see, if there was a good analogy, when you're a little kid and you're on the playground, let's pretend there's that one really cool tool or that really cool toy on the playground, and the bully kid, he monopolizes it, and he knows everyone else wants to have it and wants to play with it, but there's almost like this psychological thing inside of him. He almost wants it more just because he knows how much everybody else wants it. Well, guess what? There's a new toy on the playground. And right now, that bully's hanging with the old one. But how long before the bully says, you know what, I'm gonna go get that new toy to take control? And the good thing about this toy, the good thing about Bitcoin, because that's where this analogy is going, is that it was set up perfectly by Satoshi Nakamoto. Whether that's one person, whether that's many people, they set it up perfectly. And that is, it is a way for us to some sly and roundabout way take power back from the government. So no matter what the government does, no matter what these centralized systems do to gain power, it's going to be like squeezing sand at the end of the day, because the way Bitcoin was set up with its decentralized system is so that no one entity can keep and control it forever. That is why you should be purchasing Bitcoin. But guys, that's all we have for today's show. I'm so glad you guys joined. There's what? About 1,300 of you. I think at one point we had closer to 1,400. Only 551 likes. We definitely can keep the likes coming here as we close it out. We're going to be back tomorrow. Jebb will be back tomorrow. We have a video going out today. I believe the interview that we had with, what's his name? Kevin O'Leary. Jebb got to interview Kevin O'Leary, and that video is going out tonight. You don't want to miss it. He asked a phenomenal question. In fact, giving you a little teaser, it was literally said by Kevin O'Leary himself and his team that was the best question he'd ever heard from any crypto person. He loved getting to answer it. Make sure you don't miss that video coming out tonight. Last thing I want to say, guys, is as much as we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about cryptocurrency, some of you might tune out right here, and that's okay. What is the reason why our team is here? Ultimately, we believe that we have a purpose. We have a reason to be here. I want you guys to know 10% of all the profits that we ever get in our company goes straight to missions. And specifically, there's one ministry called Life for the Innocent that is phenomenal. And what this seeks to do is there are children in India right now who are sold daily into sex and organ trafficking, meaning that they are sold and used as bits and pieces. And so this company, this ministry goes in and buys these children, mainly girls, because that's the lower value. They go in and buy, rehabilitate, and get these children homes. And if that's something that you believe in, I want you to know when you give to us, some of your money goes to that. But I don't want to leave it as just something that you can do through us. I want you to know you can get personally involved. And so what's going to happen after this is live, Smay's going to add that link to our description. And the truth is, guys, like, subscribe, share, do anything you want. Please, 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 please. If you do not have anyone that you are giving to, if you are looking for a way to give back and to minister to other people, consider this ministry. Or I would even encourage you, find something in your local hometown. Find something that you can help make the world a better place and invest. Cryptocurrency profits are not just for our own bank accounts. It's so that we can make this world a better place. But as long as there are things like child slavery, child sex, and organ slavery in the world, we have a lot of work to do. Please, please, please get involved and help us make this a better place. That's all I have for you guys in today's show. That was a nice little dark end there at the, but I hope it meant a lot to you because, guys, that's what it means to us. Love getting to talk to you guys today. We'll be back tomorrow. That's all I have for you. Peace.